gosh, this window drama. Seriously, I should know better. Oh well, it is what it is. I feel like I'm going to be disturbed in a minute anyway. So good morning and welcome to Monday the 1st of June. Right, it is going to drive me crazy. I am word moving. Oh, that'll do. All right. Okay. All right. And this is the day. All right. So today we have the moon in Sagittarius. So we are looking for we're looking for meaning. All right. We're looking for higher thought, awareness, our what feels good for us. All right. So Sagittarius is that religion, judicial system. There might be a sense of justice here as well today. All right. So now the Sagittarius moon is being ruled by Jupiter. Now, Venus is within 10 degrees of Jupiter. Those two, our great benefics, are coming together to have a hug soon, which is lovely, but it doesn't really dissipate everything that's going on. It's still going to be a month, all right? It's still going to be one of those months, but for today, all right? So now in the words I have written, actually I'll read them from here because my book is different. All right, so your normal suppression filter is turned off. So take the opportunity to express what it is that is causing you pain to the people involved. By saying it today, Mercury moving into Cancer this evening at 9:55 will provide the balm to heal the hurt. All right, so it's one of those days where you need to ponder what it is that needs to be said so that it is expressed in a beneficial way so that all parties experience the positive effects. Now, so the moon is doing nothing today until 2 o'clock, all right? So it's void, of course, until it starts making its aspect to Jupiter. And that just, again, this is one of those pondering days where you can just sort of float through your thoughts, all right? Now, when it does start to make a connection, it is an inconjunct, all right? So there's an adjustment required to Jupiter, all right? So it's having a conversation with its ruling planet to see if it can sort out its differences. Now, after 6, there is a trine to Chiron starting, and then after 7, the moon moves into opposition to Mercury. Now, Mercury is at 29 degrees right now, all right? So we're looking at the last couple of weeks, and it's not even the last couple of weeks. It's like 29 degrees of Gemini, all right? There is shit to be said, all right? So if you have been holding back, not having conversations, like I said, you need to speak these words today so that when Mercury moves into Cancer, it's got that nurturing principle, all right? So if somebody gets their nose out of joint today because you tell the truth, then you're going to be able to work with the energy to explain yourself or, family, all right? The protection that you offer to family. I don't know. Cancer can be a little bit, think of that crab, a little bit snappy, all right, and a little bit over-emotional. That is the moon sign. But, there is stuff that needs to be said. All right, so now at 10 a.m., all right, Mercury is sextile Chiron, all right? So this is why today's the day that you need to say the words, all right? So I've always wondered whether my mother watches these when I put it onto YouTube, but I'm going to express something that is, one of the reasons why I wrote it the way I did. Good morning, Susan. Good morning, Christy. Oh, yay, in bed, that sounds so good. So yeah, I've always wondered whether, my mum watches this. And I suppose this is going to be an important day for me because I've got things that need to be said, all right? And it's been November since we've spoken properly, and I'm like, enough's enough, all right? So I will be using this energy I'm actually going to cheat because I know better, all right? So I'm just going to record a clip expressing my truth, and then I'm going to send it because that way it's going to be heard if she watches it. And I will be able to say the things. And then tomorrow, when Mercury's in Cancer, then I'll ring up and try to make peace because, seriously, that Scorpio moon, just, I wrote in the words that you never know, what did I say? make memories while you can, because you never really know what tomorrow holds. And I just sort of, it really sort of hit home. And then when I was doing the words last night, I was like, yeah, today's the day. All right. Good morning, Louise. How are you? So that, like I said, that Mercury sextile Chiron at 10 a.m., that energy is going to be available to you all day. What is it about you as an individual that you need to express so that you can heal? Okay, like I said, Mercury in Gemini at 29 degrees, he is off his head right now. All right, this is like prime Mercury energy. It doesn't have to be a healing conversation. You could just be having a conversation with someone, you know, if you're in need of, I don't know, a tradie, or I don't know, a conversation with anybody. Today's a really good day to do it. All right, now, what else was there? So I said, yep, Mercury moves into Cancer at 9:55. Now, Mercury is retrograde in all of the water signs this year. So I do believe that Mercury gets to 24 degrees. So that's maybe 2 and a bit weeks. And then it retrogrades back to maybe 6 degrees. Again, I'll clarify those dates tomorrow or later. But, you know, so Mercury in Cancer, we've got ancestral history, all right? You know, Cancer is ancestry, home. Good morning, DG. How are you, family? There we go. So, yeah, so, you know, as soon as Mercury moves into Cancer, it's like, all right, what about this family or ancestral system? Oh, like I said, it could be the home, all right? And I'm saying that because, you know, maybe you're getting a house built and there needs to be conversations with the tradesman. Same energy. But, you know, maybe you need to be going back over the contract, or if you're in the process of getting a contract, please double check all of the details, because Mercury will come back to a certain point, and that's just the review that Mercury is going to do. But again, I'm going to do it in the sense that, you know, I need to have a conversation with a family member about past events so that we can heal this wound and move on. All right, again, you don't know what tomorrow holds. There is no use holding on to drama and you know, petty pain. All right, now I'm absolutely not dismissing anybody's hurt with Chiron, but this sextile, all right, Mercury sextile Chiron, gives you the perfect opportunity to do something about it, but it takes you doing something, again, bigger person, you know, or I just can't be bothered with the arguments anymore. There's no argument, but I just can't be bothered with the blur. I'm like over it, all right? So you could be feeling the same. Just say the words. You know what? If you're having a drama anyway, what's it going to hurt? It's not. So, yeah, so that's pretty much the day, all right? So we really want to listen to the messages, all right? So this is the Mercury sextile Chiron aspect and the keywords or statements that are involved with this one. So listen to the messages. What have you been suppressing that needs to be expressed, all right? So, you know, there is still a lot of volatility in the air, even though that Mars-Pluto has passed. We're now moving into Uranus coming up, you know, through June, making these that mini grand trine outer planets. You know, the thing that we've got, that's starting to get really, really strong. So this is not just about yourself. It's about the larger perspective, the collective unconscious. All right. So if that collective is your family experience, then it's not just you. It is a collective experience. All right, so let the emotional genies out of the bottle of the bottle. So we're popping the cork on those suppressed sort of energies, and really holding an attitude of gratitude. Good morning, Helen. How are you? So that's pretty much it. I've only done the next couple of days. Like, I've been really busy. So tomorrow, it's a very thinky, feely day. Again, Mercury in Cancer. We're going to have this until the beginning of August, all right? Because it goes all the way and then back and then back. All right, so expect to deal with any suppressed family experience, ancestry type vibes. Or like I said, if you're in some sort of contractual home energy, then double check the details, because you will revisit. All right, so Yeah, and then tomorrow the moon moves into Capricorn at around 11:20. So we've got this higher realm thought experience until then. So I just, like I said, the moon doesn't do anything until around 2. So I just think, today's going to be a great day to just contemplate your navel, just think about things, and especially think about things before you say them, because we don't want to react to situations. We want to be calm and, loving and gentle, because we're bigger people and we're adults. We don't need to yell to get our voices heard anymore. So how does that feel, guys? How does that feel? Now I have a almond choc cake in today, so I have turned the oven off because it was just about ready, and I'm like, it gets to that point where then it goes hard, so I'm like, no, turn it off. Turn it off now. So that's me, guys. I am working all week, so I am going to be doing my lives from here all week. But yeah, if anybody needs anything after this week, I've got 5 weeks off, I think. I think it's around that much time. So yeah, contemplating classes. Actually, guys, what would you like from me? I'm going to be focusing a lot on my offerings, or at least sort of getting out there a bit more. Obviously my reading space will be open, really, really open, but I also want to create something. So I'd love some feedback. If there's anything that you would like from me, please just message me, and I'll see what I can do to satisfy you guys. And yes, awesome. I can actually eat this one. I made it gluten-free. So, mwah. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. I hope you have a fabulous day. And don't forget to use your words, all right? Tomorrow will be the healing balm to just maybe fix anything that you have to express today. So